From the ECSI Sports Studios and the #1 sports investors in America, we bring you the closing bell. As the market closes, legends Jeff Dawson and Riley Magnuson bring you all the sports investing tips for tonight's matchups. If you want to learn more from the two legends at the desk, make sure you stay tuned to the closing bell. ECSI fans, do you want to revolutionize your sports investing habits? Allow me to tell you about WagerWire. WagerWire is an app that helps you become a superior bettor by allowing you to sync all of your sports books and track all of your bets in one place. See your current action, your betting history, and stats. You can also sign up for sportsbooks and collect bonus offers. Follow them at WagerWire on X, as they're the best account on the platform. Head to the App Store or Play Store now and search WagerWire to download the app. Hey sports fans, are you ready for an exhilarating gaming experience? Introducing VIPClub.lv, your ultimate online sportsbook and casino. VIPClub.lv offers a vast selection of sports, from football and basketball to tennis and baseball. Bet on your favorite teams and enjoy the thrill of the game. But that's not all. Our state-of-the-art online casino offers a dazzling array of games, including slots, blackjack, roulette, and live dealer tables. Win big with their fantastic promotions, rewards, and exclusive offers. Join VIPClub.lv today and get a generous 100% match welcome bonus to start your winning streak. Make sure to use code ECSI at sign-up. Bet it, win it, and cash it at VIPClub.lv. Visit VIPClub.lv now and play responsibly. VIPClub.lv, your sportsbook and casino extravaganza. Must be 21 or older to play. Please gamble responsibly. Visit gambleware.org for help.
Good afternoon, sports fans from all around the globe. I am the host, Jeff Dawson, the co-host, East Coast Sports Investors, and this is your closing bell for Thursday, February 15th, 2024. Just 2 weeks left in February, and it's a leap year. That's right. We're going to turn that page to March and March Madness Conference Championships, and who will cut down the nets? Will it be my Yukon Huskies back-to-back, or maybe Riley's Purdue Boilermakers from the Big Ten? But we got some time to go there. Shout out to our proud partnership and sponsor, WagerWire. If you have not downloaded this app, shame on you. It was your New Year's resolution. Run on over to Google Play or wherever you download the apps. It's free. Start tracking your ROI. Start keeping track of those bets. Download the sportsbook and casinos that are available in your state. Start window shopping. You know, why pay minus 125 when you can get minus 117 right down the road or right below in that app? If you're looking for some flash cash, send an email to affiliate@wagerwire.com. Travis, Zach, the rest of their community, the best in the business, will take good care of you. Tell them JD from ECSI sent you. And, of course, another proud sponsor that we have, VIPClub.lv. At the checkout window, use the promo code ECSI. Tell them JD sent you. Good people, the best customer service in the land over there. They will take good care of you. So without further ado, the co-star of this show, the one and only Mr. Riley Magnuson. What is up, Ry?
What is up, my friend? Happy Thirsty Thursday, as you typically like to say, my friend. I am doing just fine over here. Good to see you after a little time away from each other here. You obviously had a big week at the Super Bowl last week, but I'm ready to rock and roll. I know I can't remember if it was on Twitter or maybe one of your email blasts, but the focus shifts, maybe not 100%, but in a lot of ways, especially for us, to college basketball. And not like we haven't been obviously as deep as anybody into the weeds with that the last handful of months, but obviously when the eyes of the average audience, national audience, kind of shifts to that, obviously the stakes get a little bit bigger. So I'm ready to rock and roll for the next month and a half of basketball, I guess 2 months probably, close to 2 months of college basketball. But I don't know. I think we don't need to get into it right this second, but the debate of who's the likeliest to cut down the nets and who has the best wagon to get there is as good of a debate as it's been in a long time, including last year as well. So I'm very excited for that. So. Like you said, not the most appetizing slate tonight, but there's obviously some maybe some bubble type teams that are in action tonight that are worth breaking down tonight. On top of obviously, like you said, last day of NBA, first half of the season. I'm not sure if these teams tonight are looking ahead to it, but we'll be ready to rock for these games tonight here in a second.
Yeah, a lot to go over. It's been a while since you and I did a show. What transpired a week leading up to Vegas. I got there the weekend before, got myself settled in very nicely. Radio Row was just the largest in NFL Super Bowl history, over 200 plus broadcasts there, from podcasts, from DraftKings, FanDuel, Pat McAfee, NFL Network. You name it, they were there. We were literally 30 feet away from Pat McAfee. To the right of me was the 98.5 crew, Felger and Maz, and Mr. Murray himself. Our interviews went Wednesday through Friday. Our first interview was Jalen Hyatt, till our first interview on Friday morning. We were the first to interview Emmitt Smith. That was amazing, absolutely amazing. I'm going to screw this up. He was promoting Honduras tequila, and I probably screwed that up. I apologize. But at the end of the interview, I got a nice selfie with him, and then he handed me the bottle. So I have an actual bottle handed to me from Emmitt Smith, which is my mantelpiece. It was my Lombardi there. The close was the most amazing close ever. We did 2 3-hour shows and 1 2-hour show. The owners were there. Sports Map Radio, thank you there. Mr. Gao, they took us out Wednesday night to steak dinner at the Strip House Steakhouse at Mandalay Bay. Bob Golick was with us. Al Bernstein was with us. So I was talking boxing on one side and then talking to Bob Golick about the Patriots, about Notre Dame, about the Raiders, about the Browns. So that was great. But we got an email and a confirmation that congratulating us on a great, great job that we did. And see you at the Big Easy next year and Super Bowl 2025 in New Orleans. So we got a year to get ready for that. So we're super stoked for that. The game, anyone that gets our VIP information or listen to some of the shows, shout out to the people that acted on this, on my breakdown before the tournament started. The winner of the Buffalo Kansas City game, we thought would have a good shot at beating Baltimore. So get your Patrick Mahomes Super Bowl MVP 11-1, Riley. He was 11-1 instead of plus 125. Great game. He just did it again. Down 10, his first 2 Super Bowl wins. 49ers had numerous opportunities to lay the wood, lay the hammer. They didn't. You know, you leave the great ones around long enough. Tom Brady, now Patrick Mahomes, they're going to get you in the long run. So hats off to the Chiefs. And on a somber note, their parade last night, yesterday afternoon, just tragic. A female DJ lost her life, and like 23 people were injured, a lot of them kids. It'll be interesting moving forward what transpires to these parades. Society, guns, we're not going to turn this political, but just a tragic, supposed to be celebration, and actually someone lost their life.
Right, and yeah, we don't need to get too deep into the weeds, but you know, having done it, it's been a while since I've had an opportunity to celebrate like that. But some of the Blackhawks parades, I mean, in Chicago were you know, to put it bluntly, I mean, just an absolute spectacle. So fortunately, you know, this hasn't happened in the past, and obviously it's tough to say that in these days that this is only a one-off occurrence in a situation like this. But anyways, we don't need to get too deep into that one because it is somber. But to turn it back lighter, as far as next year in the Big Easy, if we're reading the tea leaves like the kids are talking about with the colors on the Super Bowl logo giving away who's going to be in it, it might be Packers-Ravens next year that you'll be seeing next year in New Orleans, the green and yellow and purple. So Am I getting optimistic for that? Yeah, probably a little too much. I'm hoping the Packers aren't reading their press clippings these last few weeks because they've been the outside of the Chiefs and the Niners. They've been one of the winners as far as the look ahead. Maybe not the winners, but at least the people drinking the Packers Kool-Aid. So I'm hoping they aren't reading their own press clippings too much because I'm trying to pump people's brakes a little bit. As much as I am optimistic, I'm hoping they don't become that team that falls flat on their face and looks like the team that was 3-6 this year instead of the what we saw at the end of the year, though. So I am optimistic, but I am a little weary as far as them getting a little too fat and happy this offseason.
Well, and you could be set up perfectly because if Chicago does what everyone expects them to do, they're going to go after Caleb and trade Justin, and Justin could end up in Atlanta or wherever he ends up. And if the Vikings don't go out and re-sign Kirk Cousins, Justin Jefferson wants to know, A, who the quarterback is, and he wants to be paid as the highest paid wide receiver. So you could be set up very nicely in a division where it could be, Jordan Love and the Packers to be taken.
Yeah, if that all shapes out like that, Packers and Lions, obviously the two teams in there, and you've got some easier wins if the cards fall that way. So no, it does seem like obviously I've told you there's some people in the Bears fan base that have been smitten by Justin Fields because they haven't had a ton of good quarterback play in their lifetimes, but I would be shocked if they don't, pony up and take Caleb Williams at that first spot. Pittsburgh with Atlanta, obviously. Pittsburgh was the other team that I've been hearing could be interested in Justin Fields, depending on what the asking price is. I think they're optimistic that they could get a 1. That seems to be the real optimistic thing that I'm hearing. Wouldn't be surprised if it's a 2 and change or something like that either, but. I would be real surprised if the Bears don't go, the Caleb Williams route at this point.
And you look at the AFC, and someone brought up a great point today. Any futures, someone wants to tie up their money for almost a year. God bless you, because back in the day it was something, but at least wait till the OTAs, wait till the trade, the free agency market, wait till the draft before you start tying this money up. But look at the AFC compared to the NFC. The 49ers will be the favorite in the NFC, obviously. Then you still got the Eagles, you got the Cowboys, Lions. Now, will the Lions have a hangover? Will the 49ers have a hangover? There's always a team that pops out of nowhere. But you go to the AFC, you look at the Ravens, and then you look at the Bills. And then, of course, you got the Chiefs now. And now all of a sudden you got Justin Herbert with Mr. Harbaugh. I haven't even mentioned the Miami Dolphins. Oh, and by the way, here's the sexy pick, of course. The Cincinnati Bengals with Joe Burrow returning. They will be the sexy pick to come out of the AFC. But my point is that AFC is a juggernaut. C.J. Stroud and the Texans. Didn't even say the Browns. Is it going to be Deshaun Watson, which they expect? So, I mean, the AFC is just loaded with top-heavy quarterback play. That to pick one is definitely a needle in the haystack.
Right, and there's some teams that if they were in the NFC, you could paint a picture where if they make the right 1 or 2 moves, they could, be a team that's a top 7 team as far as the NFC standards. But you're looking at the teams like Denver. What are and Vegas? What are these teams going to look like? Maybe they might be a competitive team, but could be very similar to this year, where they just don't have enough firepower to match up with these other guys. I mean, not to mention you got Indy and Jacksonville, who if things go correctly their way a little bit, that could be a 10+ win team next year. So the AFC is a gauntlet. You were kind of reading my mind there with Miami and Cincy there, because obviously. Cincy had some fire even at the end of the year without Joe Burrow. So if he comes back healthy, looking fine, they'll be in dangerous shape as well. So I think the one team in the NFC that I'm curious to see what they kind of do in the offseason here, because now they've gotten out of that, all in for the Super Bowl. The Rams got through this year, which was supposed to be kind of a rebuilding, retooling year. Well, obviously was fine with it, and Stafford looked really healthy. So if that offense can come into next year healthy and they can maybe add a couple pieces on defense, they're going to be kind of a threat in the NFC themselves, the Rams over there.
Yeah, Seattle today mentioned, for $12 million, why not? We're going to re-sign Geno to have him come back next year. I assume they'll be in play for drafting a quarterback like half the rest of the teams anyways, which the first 10 picks could be five quarterbacks. I have no idea. I have no idea what our locals from New England are going to do. One day you hear it's Jalen Daniels, another day it's Marvin Harrison, another day it's trading back for Joe Alt. So again, it's going to be interesting the next 6 weeks there. NBA going on break. Jaylen Brown can't play, but he can play in the dunk contest. So you understand where I'm going with this NBA stuff. Win by 30, lose by 30. I just wrapped up a show with Andrew McGinnis. We talked NHL. Everyone watching and listening, if you're not following us on YouTube, jump on over there to YouTube, East Coast Sports Investors. Just subscribe. It's free. That's all I ask. Me and Riley here. Grab your pens and paper. Big slate tonight in the NHL. I'm just going to give you some potential overs on some team totals here. Florida at Buffalo. You can get Florida team total over 3.5 minus 107. Bruins at home against Seattle. Bruins over 3.5 plus 118. Next one's a tricky one. You can get the Kings at New Jersey team total over 3.5 plus 126. Or if you like the Devils tonight, you can get their team total over 3.5 plus 122. Nothing there. Nothing. If you like the Rangers tonight, team total over 3.5 minus 121. Here's another tricky one. Tampa Bay. Team total over 3.5 minus 107. If you like the Avs tonight, team total over 3.5 plus 113. Keep an eye on Tampa Bay first period minus 117 on the money line there. Nothing there. Dallas team total over 3.5 at Nashville plus 105. The return to Bedard. Welcome back, Mr. Bedard. They're at home against Pittsburgh tonight. If you like the Blackhawks with the return of Bedard, you can get their team total over 2.5, minus 103. Calgary, you can get them minus a half goal tonight. First period, plus 105. They're like minus 300. And the under over is 5.5. But if you like them tonight and you want to get in there, take them minus a half goal in the first period. You can get them at even money or plus 105. And the last one I think is a sneaky one. Vancouver Canucks, team total over 3.5 at home against the Red Wings. That's a little pricier, but it's minus 125. The board is yours, my brother.
I like it, my friend. I'll get to the NBA, but the return of Bedard. I was just out of curiosity looking at it because the Blackhawks, obviously the dead last, least points in the entire NHL. Probably going to be about as good of an environment as you can get for the worst team in any league. I would say I'm seeing $75 as the cheapest get-in price for tonight's game. So we're dying for Bedard again here, but as we said at the beginning of the season, just because he's back doesn't mean the Blackhawks are. A playoff caliber squad while he's out there. There are obviously still some growing pains there. So, nonetheless, happy to see him back. It's a welcome sight to have him there, and we're still trying to get in that lottery with or without him there. So, over to the NBA, my friend. Couple of games that obviously probably aren't going to be too highly watched unless you're fan of one of these teams, excluding potentially if you're dying for some NBA action. We got one TNT game out of the three here, Milwaukee and Memphis. This one is in Memphis. Milwaukee, 11.5 point, 12-point favorites, 223 in the total, it looks like. Seeing Giannis is questionable, so obviously 11.5, without Middleton is still out for Giannis. I think Jaren Jackson is doubtful for Memphis there, so Memphis is a little depleted. I want to say this number suggests Giannis is playing, but this Memphis squad is actually pretty depleted here. So I still will say that, but obviously Giannis playing against this lineup, especially without Jaren Jackson, definitely I would be surprised if Giannis is playing in at full speed here, or not full speed, but full minutes here. I would be surprised to see the Bucks fall to to this Memphis team without a Jaren Jackson, who is one of the better options in the league at trying to slow him down. Total 223 though. This Memphis team has kind of been living in that range, but for the most part, they've been going over that number for quite a bit here lately. A little bit lower for Milwaukee there, so I do think the total might be pretty fair there. So I don't know about you. I don't have too many, too much of a way to get into this one other than maybe Milwaukee over their team total and putting some points on the board here tonight.
It's funny. I was in Vegas Friday night. I was taking the red eye home, and I was telling Anthony that the Celtics were huge favorites at home. I think it was against Washington, and Milwaukee was a huge favorite at home against Charlotte. I said one's going to come in, one's not, and sure enough, it was the Bucks winning by 40. It's a Milwaukee gold number, and it's a number that tells me Giannis is going to play. So I would lean Milwaukee minus the 11 and a half. I would also take their team total over the 117 and a half. They've been a Jekyll or Hyde. They're either going to blow you out or they're going to lose. And I think this number's telling me they want to get this last win before the break. And let's get to the All-Star break and get 20-something plus games to go. Let's enjoy the weekend off for some of these players, and let's get ready for next week.
Yeah, they did lose there, like you said. It seemed like they had a bit of a sense of urgency to get out of the funk that they were in. They did lose. I don't know if that was yesterday or the day before to Miami pretty badly. But that game against Denver, I don't know if anyone saw it. Kendrick Perkins deemed it a must-win for the Milwaukee Bucks in a non-conference game before the All-Star break in February, and I almost laughed at him. But they do and still need to, with this game, like you said, need to have a little bit of urgency because falling into that 3 seed to set up a potential losing that home court advantage against whether it's Cleveland in the 2 spot or someone else would obviously not be ideal. And I think the ship has kind of sailed to catch Boston by any means here for that 1 seed, but falling to that 3 and setting yourself up to be not have the home court advantage in that next series against that 2 seed is obviously not what they want there. So that one is in Memphis on TNT. The other one that I saw a boatload of people all over a Golden State Warriors team on the road here. Warriors at Utah. Warriors road favorites -2 point favorites here. 240.5 on the full game total. Warriors up until this was last night. This is the second night of a back-to-back. They had a little bit of a winning streak, snapped at home against the Clippers last night, 125-130. Utah coming in with a 3-game losing streak, including a loss at home a few days ago to this Warriors team. Similar number here. I think it was 1-point dogs. Now right back here at 2-point dogs. I'm seeing a lot of people all over the Warriors here with the proof play that they've been on here, and this Jazz team struggling this week a little bit here. So I'm gonna push back and lean back towards the Jazz getting their lick back here tonight. At home against the Warriors, total obviously crazy high here. I'll lean towards the over on this total as well. But both these teams have been kind of living up in that range anyways, so I don't think it's anything too eye-popping there. But I'll go Jazz and the over on my side of things over here today.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of people that were actually on the Jazz the night before, and I think 2 nights ago the Jazz laid an egg, and they're bouncing back and sticking to their guns here again. This Golden State team, another Jekyll and Hyde team, and circling back to the Bucks, I think they're 7.5 or 8 games now behind the Celtics. Cleveland has jumped in front of them. I would expect a bounce back in them in the second half. The Celtics are the clear favorites to win the East and actually to win the title. You can get some good buyback value right now on Milwaukee if you wanted in to add to your portfolio as we speak now. But getting now to this Utah game, I like where your eyes are. I like Utah here as well. I also take a look at their team total over currently at 119.5, and I can get that at even money.
Yep. Nope, I do like that. And, not to keep circling back, but that Bucks team, I'm with you. I still like it. It's a team that just hasn't been right defensively. They go out and get Pat Bev, who obviously I think so far has stirred the pot a little bit. But go back to my Bulls last year. I obviously didn't amount to anything past the play-in tournament, but on paper, their defense after they brought him in was significantly better on an on-ball defense and a team defense standpoint. So if he can gel with them and they can get themselves on the right page, I think that defense will start to look a lot better, and they'll be a lot more threatening going down the stretch here.
And I want to ask you something about the Bulls. The trade deadline has come and gone, and mysteriously, your Mr. Zach LaVine, who played Squadouche, asked to get out, doesn't get out of Dodge, and now has surgery done for the year. Kendrick Perkins came out today and clearly stated helps on the way to the Lakers this summer. Someone Anthony Davis will truly, truly like. I'm just trying to read through the tea leaves. I mean, obviously, I don't know if Cat's available or someone like that, but he wouldn't be insinuating Zach LaVine there, would he?
I think just about anything is on the table for the Bulls. The odd part about it, and the crux of it is it's tough to buy into this new front office regime has been in place now for 3-4 years, and the approval rating before that was low. Made the changes to get them out of a hole and obviously competitive for a minute there, and now without Londo, they've been a middle-of-the-pack team. There's just no leverage in the Zach LaVine situation. I think it's been 3 years since the Bulls have made a trade that actually involves a player, like an actual 3 years and since they've traded a player. So all that says to me is a part of it I respect because they refuse to take 50, 60 cents on the dollar for players. So from that aspect, I do respect it. But at some point, I mean, as far as the LaVine situation, you're kind of reading through the tea leaves. And the emergence of Kobe White since he's been out. I am all for them moving on from Zach LaVine, whatever that means. So even if you can get scraps for it, I don't hate that option at all as well. So DeRozan is obviously another name that can still score, but he plays a certain style of ball that isn't totally popular unless he's scorching hot. So there's a couple guys that are tough to find options for that fit in perfectly. I think Zach LaVine, if he can come in and obviously be third fiddle to LeBron and Anthony Davis, or if, whatever the hell happens with the Lakers. But as long as he knows that he's not the clear number one guy, I think Zach LaVine has a place in the league still. But it's a guy that I think a lot of people are asking if he was really that special. This Bulls team, regardless of, Lonzo or not, would have been better the last year and a half here. So, it's not like he's a huge head case or anything like that. I think he's a guy that, has some court vision issues, this and that. Not a huge ego guy. He obviously believes that he's, the best player on the floor, but not so much in a throw-it-in-your-face type of way. So I think he can meld somewhere. The Bulls just haven't had any leverage on it, and they haven't, frankly, had much leverage other than maybe Caruso, which they, apparently aren't giving. It seemed like they were willing to part ways with him or someone else if they were getting over 100 cents on the dollar for. But no, it's interesting. Like I said, I respect it that they're not, taking scraps for nothing just because. But at the end of the day, something's either got to change or they got to get aggressive and bring somebody else in here on this, for this roster here.
No, I agree. It'll be interesting offseason for a lot of teams, and waiting for some of these teams to make the next step. It's hard in the NBA, especially come draft day. Oh, the 2-day draft, which is hilarious. That's for another show. Earlier in the day they couldn't get through the second round quick enough. Now they want to turn it into a 2-day spectacle. So, anyways.
Anyways, and no, it's interesting. I'm curious to see how long it'll take, but I think they will do add another team or two here. I know they want to expand to Vegas, so the talent could spread out a little bit more from where it's at. So, anyways, one other game didn't have stronger thoughts on it, but as you mentioned, kind of two big favorites here on the road here tonight in the NBA against bad teams. Minnesota, the other team here in Portland, 9.5, 10-point favorites here, 215.5 I see on the total here. The Wolves, 3 in a row on the win column. Blazers, at least 5 in a row. I don't know what their losing streak is here, but they've got their own little losing streak here. It is 5 games there. Offensively, the last couple have been pretty brutal. 84-93 loss, 109-121 loss there for Portland. So, would I like to see this one up in a little bit higher in the double-digit ranges if I'm really, really, really respecting Minnesota? Yes. But at the end of the day, I don't really know what to expect out of this one. If you're going to tell me one of the underdogs is going to pull one out, I guess I would lean towards the Blazers a little bit more, where, I don't think the Wolves will be too upset if they, drop this one before the All-Star break as opposed to, Milwaukee there where Minnesota is in the catbird seed and then 1 seed there. Obviously a very, very close race, but maybe a little sense of urgency for the Wolves. Not saying they're falling tonight, but if I had to pick one of the two big favorites to fail to cover or come close to even maybe losing this game, this would be the one for sure for me.
No, I agree. Again, another tough spot, big favorite. I like to say when they're back to back, these two big favorites, both on the road, one's on TNT, one's not. Again, probably most likely one boat races one, excuse me, and the other one just plays grab ass, and we shall see. But one of these games, I can guarantee you this: I won't be watching one wink of it.
No, I'm with you on that one. I might, if either any of these games are good down the stretch, I maybe switch over and give some airtime. But no, even with a lesser college slate, there's still a few games that I'm more interested in college basketball than this NBA slate tonight, my friend.
I agree, sir.
Alrighty, where would you like to go in this college slate? I mean, we've got top 23, top 25 teams in action. All of them are pretty massive favorites here. My Big Ten neck of the woods, Purdue hosting Minnesota, who. Not out of the realm of possibility that they could be a tournament team. If they were to pull off a wild upset, this would be a really jumpstart them and get them into that serious conversation and probably on the right side of things. But still a lot of work to do for them. They've kicked above their coverage, to say the least, this Minnesota team. They were not expected to be this solid here. Whereas Purdue is obviously, it's been a while since they have fell, and at home they've been pretty dynamite here. So I don't have too much to expect out of this one other than I would say status quo, but you got Purdue 80.5 on the team total. I would not be surprised at all if they were able to get up over that tonight.
To me, it almost reeks because when this Purdue team is clicking, they seem to fly by that number. And it's a number that opened around 18 and a half overnight. It's dropped down around 16 and a half. So there has been some Gopher money coming in. This Gopher team has been a covering machine. And again, I think of their, 3 or 4 losses, I probably was on 2 of them. I have no luck with this team. I fully expect Purdue to win. I expect them to win comfortably. But, maybe the 16-17 comes into play. But, the talk that I've heard the last few days was the breakdown of Purdue and UConn, who is the true number 1 seed. And they looked at the non-conference schedule, which they gave the edge to UConn. But it was kind of surprising how many quad 1 wins that Purdue has versus UConn. When the season started, I thought the Big East would be a lot stronger, and some of the teams that I thought were better were not. And in the Big Ten, the Michigans of the world and now the Ohio States have faltered. But, the Michigan States are starting to play better, and there's a couple other teams. Whiskey had the big run, then lost 4 in a row, then boom, they're back to playing and winning. So I guess right now, if it was to start today, they said slight edge, Purdue would be the number 1 seed in the country in the March Madness tournament.
I think I'm with you, and they've got a little bit of a, I'm certainly not going to say cupcake schedule the next couple of weeks, but as far as Big Ten standards go this year, they've got 4 or 5 teams that might not even be in the tournament picture there before closing it out with Michigan State, Illinois, and Wisconsin. So they'll make or break their that 1 seed potentially with that and the Big Ten tournament itself there. I know obviously UConn's got a couple big games as well there. So, no, I'm interested to see how it shakes out. I know you've been talking about it all season long. It's a team that obviously is driven similar to the way that Virginia team was after they lost to that 16 seed. So I'm excited for it. I'm rooting for them, obviously. I'm also rooting for, Illinois, Wisconsin as well in there too. So Illinois obviously got to take care of business if they want a shot at the regular season there. And, hopefully Purdue stumbles once or twice there. But nonetheless, no, I could see what you're saying for sure as far as that game tonight. It would not surprise me if Minnesota hung around a little bit and then Purdue pulled away there in the second half. So the other Big Ten game, I should have started with this one. This one's in an hour or so. I think a lot of people – I saw actually the betting split breakdown wasn't as it was actually pretty closer to 50-50, so I was a little surprised to see that. You got Rutgers 13-10, who this last week and a half or so is playing their best ball of the season. They're 13-10 on the outside of the tournament looking in. They're not going to be a tournament team here, but they're playing their best ball, playing really good defensively. And you've got a Northwestern team who's poised to be a potential tournament team here, probably as long as they don't slip up too many times here. And Rutgers at home here, given respect to the home court advantage of Rutgers at home at 4.5-point favorites. I do respect it. Seems a little inflated based on what they've done this last week and a half or so, and still been solid at home here. Northwestern 63.5 on the team total. That obviously seems pretty low, and Rutgers is playing ridiculous team defense here. So maybe I'm leaning towards Northwestern, in this game staying lower scoring as far as that is concerned here. So I'm kind of throwing my hands up a little bit here, but I will respect Rutgers and their defense and then what they're doing right now here, and say that if they don't pull off the win, at least their defense will keep it low scoring, I think.
Yeah, I have one spot that had 67.5 juiced under -125 for Rutgers, 63.5 juiced under -125 for Northwestern. Now the other side has got Northwestern at a flat 63 and a Rutgers 67 over -15 cents. You're right on the inflation on that Rutgers number. I had it right around 2. Obviously, I think Northwestern's a live dog. Am I running in? No. We've talked that the rack isn't the rack that it used to be when you went into Rutgers. Must-win situation for Rutgers here. If you like Rutgers, I would lean them first half especially. Maybe you can get them at around that -2, 2.5 first half. Hope to get the crowd into it and have a big first half and hold off Northwestern. But I think if I had to play the game, I would lean Northwestern plus the 4.5.
I agree. I agree with you as far as that is concerned. And this one could go a lot of different ways. And, maybe they've got a little juice here still, and maybe not. I don't know. This Northwestern team, there's been a lot of times where they've had some numbers where they aren't getting the respect, and then they show up and they look like a team that is deserving to be in the tournament. So I could see it going that way for sure as well. I know have mentioned you love watching these Pac-12 games. There's a couple of solid matchups tonight, 1.5-point spreads in two different spots here. You've got a 16-8 Colorado team in UCLA at UCLA tonight as short favorites at UCLA. Colorado stumbled 3 of their last 4, actually, some tough games, but stumbled against Arizona over the weekend. UCLA finally turning things around and starting to win some games. Are you respecting the closer here with UCLA, or is this a time for UCLA to fall back to earth finally here?
This is a perfect spot where old Jeff and old ECSI would be all in on UCLA, finally getting the wheels and the Mick Cronin train going. Perfect spot for them. But unfortunately, on Saturday, myself and the whole world was on Colorado against Arizona, and they just came in at Colorado and just steamrolled them. Now it's a perfect bounce back spot for Colorado. An overnight number of UCLA -1 or 1.5, and the shop said, no, not so fast here. I like Colorado. If you like Colorado tonight, just play the money line, please. Perfect bounce back spot. I will not be on it. I will be watching it though, but I think honestly, would I be shocked if UCLA won? No, I wouldn't. But again, in the bounce back spot, especially what happened Saturday against Arizona, I think you're going to see the best of Colorado tonight.
I think I'm with you too, and it just seems like it's a great point for UCLA to finally fall back to earth here tonight. So I like this Colorado team. It's definitely a team that I could see be one of those teams in the Pac-12 that you don't see too much of in these big stages that we're talking about on national stages, and then the next thing you know, they're in the 16 Elite 8 and took down somebody that we've been talking about for 5 straight months as a championship contender. So the other game, very interesting. Utah, the wheels have kind of fallen off for them. They are 15-9, have lost 4 of their last 5 here, beat Colorado a couple weeks ago, but have since lost to both Arizona teams in their own gym. They are at USC, 9-15 USC. Also, rough stretch right now, and USC is the favorite in this one with old Bronny James, I believe, coming off the bench, junior there. But nonetheless, we're not getting into that hype too much there. But surprised to see USC as the favorite here at home.
It's the same exact number as Arizona and Colorado. Arizona was a 1.5 point favorite. You wake up in the morning and Colorado is 2.5 point favorites. Here, this Utah team, excuse me, we have actually cashed a few tickets on Utah, and I can say the exact opposite about USC. We've had them a couple times and they bit us in the ass. And as we speak here, looks like some money coming in on the Utah team total over 73.5. It just changed in front of our eyes. They do listen, guys who are watching live here. They do listen to our show. I got no good feel for this. If I had to play this, I'd play USC money line on the flip, but I am staying far, far away from this. Again, it's a good bounce back spot for Utah. We have not had a good temperature on USC. And I'll just say this, and I'm not trying to be that guy. I've watched a lot of USC games. I have seen zero from Bronny James, and no disrespect or nothing, but I don't know what I'm missing. Maybe again, he did have that health scare early in the season. Maybe he's just not into whatever game shape or something. But I haven't seen anything from him.
Yeah, I'm not gonna change your mind too much there either. Again, we don't want to disrespect too much. He's still a young kid. Obviously, had that situation. Maybe he comes out in a couple of years and looks great. But yeah, not to compare it to Michael Jordan, but Michael Jordan's kids obviously had a similar type of trajectory there. And his kids were good college basketball players that you like to root for. But yeah, not any type of serious NBA talent there. Utah, I think only one win on the road, conference or non-conference, 6-7 in conference, one win on the road here. So that's another reason why you're not getting the respect there. But as you said, USC hasn't exactly been a juggernaut at home or anything like that. So they absolutely could take care of business. But yeah, I'm not looking too deep into that one as well. Were there any other games here? I'm 3 tabs out of my big slate here, so I'm a little blind on if I'm missing a big game or anything here. I know I mentioned the 2 other top 25 teams, FAU and St. Mary's, big spreads here. Any other games in any other conferences that catch your eye to talk about here?
No, you were talking about the Big East, and we're talking UConn, and UConn wins by 40 last night at DePaul. If my memory serves me correct, they lost their first game in the Big East to start the season again, and then they haven't lost since. They host Marquette on Saturday. It will be a whiteout I think at the Hartford Civic Center. If I'm seeing the numbers correctly, I think there'll be about a 6-point favorite. Winner gets a leg up or being close to that leg up in the Big East regular season title game. Tough matchup for UConn. We'll talk about this on Friday. If not Friday, we're going to be back Friday around 4:30. And our hope is Saturday morning we'll get the full slate. We'll talk Big Ten, we'll talk Big East, and some big games there. So not a great slate tonight. I mean, I'd like to throw out even a soft lob or two for you, but there's really not a lot that's jumping at me here at all. A lot of bad matchups, or there's nothing that, let's say, wets the palate, Riley.
That's right. And I just got to mention my Redbirds on Tuesday. I think Illinois State get their first win over a ranked team since I stormed the court against Fred VanVleet and the Wichita State Shockers some 7-8 years ago myself. So first big win in a while for the Redbirds this week. So was brought back to my college days when things were a little brighter in Redbird Nation there. But maybe that's a little bit of an improvement from last year just in general, but it was a rough stretch for a while, so hopefully that's a little springboard into being a better situation next year for my Birds there.
Let's just say after they got us good by about 25 or 30,
Yeah.
and I knew it was about 7 minutes in, and it was one of those thanks for playing.
Yeah.
I've stayed far, far away, Riley.
I don't blame you on that. They had some fun early and had some fun Tuesday, but yeah, I'm not holding my breath too much else the rest of the year here. But was nice to get, like I said, first ranked win in I had it must be 7 or 8 years, so that was nice there. And literally the first ranked win since I stormed the court while I was there against Wichita State. So so that was a good memory to reminisce on there. So. I'll use that as my closing thoughts. Other than there's some golf action, some UFC action also on Saturday, my friend. So here maybe these next couple days we dive into golf and UFC a little bit if we have some time as well.
Awesome. And I'll use this for my closing thought. It was hilarious. It went viral. Detroit Mercy last night, ECSI VIPs -5, started the game 7-0, box to wire, win by 15. But the hilarious part is one person stormed the court, and he was out there, and the most amazing thing I've ever seen in my life. Yes, 0-26, and they get their first win. Congrats to Detroit Mercy there. But it is a march to the madness as we got 2 weeks left in February. NBA goes All-Star Weekend. The kids play, and then the dunk contest, 3-point contest. Steph versus, what is it, Sabrina? Steph's...
Yeah, something Ionescu, something. I don't know the full details, but something along those lines. Yep.
Yeah, I think they should have added a third, and they should have made Caitlin Clark in there too. And that would have, maybe that's next year or something. So tomorrow, 2:00, the return of Matt Grissom and Quentin Mills as the 3 men in the box. We'll be talking college baseball. Season starts tomorrow, so we'll get some college baseball in. Myself and Riley will be back around 4:30, and then again Saturday morning, have breakfast with us as we'll talk the full slate, UFC, and some return of Tiger. We'll talk some golf. What is Tiger doing? Do you got the scoreboard in front of you?
I think he finished 1 over. So a lot. I think it was a kind of a roller coaster situation. I didn't look into his scorecard other than being at 1 over, but and which is near the bottom. So he's got a little work to do, I imagine, to stick around. I assume there's a cut line. There's not a huge field here, only about 70 guys. So I assume there's a cut line. Maybe there's no cut line, and I'm drawing a blank on it. But near the bottom, Cantlay 7 under at the top there. Spieth, Zalatoris. Kind of a hopefully a resurgent year for Zalatoris. He's 5 under as well. So this one should be a good one. This past weekend went to about halftime of the Super Bowl, but was also pretty exciting as well. So hopefully some big names coming down the pipe this weekend for golf tournament here, Genesis Invitational.
Yeah, and first 5 weeks in, Riley, if you just took when you're looking for the pre-flop and you started at 100-1 or greater, you'd probably have a good chance of cashing a ticket if you the first 5 weeks. I think there's been like 125-1 to 200-1 to 300-1 to 400-1 to 500-1. I mean, so if you're a chalk bettor, and usually for us, we haven't debuted our golf yet this year. We like that soft spot in the 25 to 40 to 1 range, and we haven't tipped our toes into it yet. So we've saved ourselves a lot of money. But again, it's probably going to be some regression as the cream will soon rise to the top, right?
I would imagine so. And I've told you, I've been very vocal. This is the most January, February, obviously I haven't gotten into March yet. We haven't gotten to the Florida swing yet that I've stayed away. This is usually my, fire away on guys who look like they're ready to go. But as you mentioned, I think Wyndham Clark was the one, higher rated guy that has won a tournament so far, I think, this season. Otherwise, it's a lot of guys that you're not as familiar with. But obviously, a lot of guys moving around, newer faces getting some opportunities. So it's been tough to judge, but I agree. I think starting this weekend, you're going to start to see some bigger names get to the finish line here. Like I said, starting this weekend.
Last question to you, then we'll wrap it up here. Obviously, some of the names, Jon Rahm and a few others that have now gone over to LIV. Do you think this has any effect on the PGA Tour?
As far as kind of the finishes, you mean?
Well, the big names, Jon Rahm said he'd never go over there, and there's a handful that seemed like they got their foot out the door. And just the start with the first 5 weeks and the 100-1 pluses. LIV Tour was not supposed to be a factor to the PGA. At one point, it looked like they were going to finally merge. I mean, if I was on the PGA Tour and I was offered a bag of money to go on the LIV Tour and I was promised that I could play in the majors, why wouldn't I take the bag and go to the LIV? So I think an eventual merge would be there. Red Sox owner John Henry and a few others, like $300 billion or whatever stupid money they're talking about
Yeah.
to help the PGA. I just don't know what the hell's going on in the PGA right now.
No, and that's kind of why, as far as one of the reasons I've been sitting back, because I'm just trying to sit and watch and see how some of these guys react. And obviously, a lot of the bigger names, there were some guys lurking around a little bit. I mean, Scotty played well this weekend, but not peak form Scotty Scheffler. But some of these guys, I don't think they're going to make the jump. But also, obviously, their name's been thrown around a little bit as some of the things they've said in the past. So it obviously is. I think it is having an effect for sure. The uncertainty of what's going on here. I think ultimately it will be positive, but for the average golf fan, I mean, for diehard golf fans, they're getting more golf, and they've got two different leagues where you have a chance to have two big finishes on a Saturday or Sunday, and they're a pig and shit probably. For people who are excuse my language, but for people who are your average, I don't have time to watch two different golf leagues. I just want to if there's a Sunday now without football, I just want to be able to turn golf on and see all the best names in one place. So I think it's hurting their numbers for the average fan that's just trying to watch some golf on a casually on a Sunday. But and the end of it, I think it'll work out. But right now they're in a weird transition part that I think the middle part of that golf fan base just doesn't care and is kind of annoyed at what's going on right now. So for diehards, it's working out. But other than that, they've obviously got to make some changes from where they're at right now this second here in 2024.
All right, people, thank you so much for watching and listen. Again, jump on over to YouTube at East Coast Sports Investor. Subscribe. It's free. Turn on your notifications. Never miss a live show. Tomorrow, 2 o'clock. Myself, Quentin Mills, Matt Grissom, 3 Men in the Box, talking college baseball. Myself and Riley will be back around 4:30 for the closing bell on Fade the Public Friday. Don't be the pizza man. And then Saturday morning, enjoy breakfast with myself and Riley on the Breakfast Bankroll. From myself, Jeff Dawson at EC Sports Invest, the one and only Mr. Riley Magnuson at Riley_Magnuson, the one. We wish everyone a blessed day and evening. Have some fun. Cash a few tickets. ECSI VIPs. The alert will be out soon. See you tomorrow.